So, Brian, we're on week 2, and week 2 is going much better. We're starting to take off some of the layers and see some of the chunks of your system, and it's looking much more manageable. One of the beauties of your system is starting to come about, and I can see who's actually logging on and going through each of the modules, the training modules, and who hasn't been going on the training module. So it's some of the beauty of the system is already beginning to unfold itself and be discovered.
Okay, that's awesome. That's one of the things that a lot of doctors miss with other systems and considering starting other systems or with other systems is they have a question about training and support and onboarding. A lot of times other companies, they'll give you some training up front, but then you have to pay for it ongoing if you need extra help or something like that. With our system, like you've seen, the Academy actually has all the training classes, the videos, and the tests, and you can actually, as a doctor, look at everybody's different level of training. So that's awesome, and then that's ongoing. And then have you been able to leverage the other support issues or technologies or with ticketing or anything like that yet?
No, we're getting there. Like one of the biggest challenges we had, Brian, was we have everybody from massage therapists to physical trainers to chiropractors to support staff, and we actually had to go through and see which part of your training, because it is so comprehensive, we wanted people to learn. Like, I don't want my massage therapist to learn how to register a new patient. So we actually are taking and saying, okay, massage therapists, pay attention to this part of the training. Physical trainers pay attention to this part of the training, and then really figuring out, and Amy's been good about that. She's been helping us figure out which people need to know which, because I don't want to pay for a trainer to know how to balance bill a patient at the end of, that's not something they're ever going to need to know how to do. So we're trying to break up the training dependent upon employer role.
Okay. So just for everybody who's listening, let me help translate a little bit. Amy is Dr. Trent's coach. I think we mentioned it on the first call, but just to reiterate, the coach is the actual person that does the initial consultation with you. And like you said in the beginning, I think, like Amy was functioning as the beginning sort of as a salesperson, but she's not going anywhere. She'll be with you on all your calls, and at some point, once you have them, whittled down to once a month, Amy will still be that person. But really, one of her functions is to make sure you're getting the most out of the system, and also not looking at too much, like you're saying in this case. And for everybody would have done all that training, it would have been a waste of time. They probably all have been really frustrated and angry, and that would have been an attrition risk for us, I think.
Quite frankly, Brian, I don't want my massage therapist to be able to schedule a new patient. We have a real clear delineation of jobs in the office, and I got to remember this too, that people can log into their software from home. So I don't want people to know how to do everything. I want each person to know how to do their job and do it well. And eventually, after time, and there might be a time later where I want other people to be trained in other modules. But being able to choose which specific module I want which employee to be trained in is a huge asset, because we can really allocate our resources to that department and that need immediately, instead of them having spent time on things that really they don't need to know much about at all. So that's been awesome.
Said that, sorry, go ahead. When you said that, that made me think of something else. There was there's different user access. So there's a physician owner, physician practitioner, office manager, front desk. What I mean by that is each person actually gets assigned a different role in the office, and that means they have different access to different levels of the system. So, for example, you don't necessarily want your front desk person to have access to all your financial reports. So if they could log in from home, you don't want them to be able to see that kind of thing. There's one way to avoid that, is just to not train them on it. The other way is there's actually blocks on certain access levels too. So when you said that, it made me think of that. So that's a good point.
Right. We're actually doing both. We're actually not training them on it, and we're not allowing them access to it. So it's kind of a double thing. We obviously don't want them training on something they don't have access to. So it works out well that way. I like the way with your system too that, like, I can define. You kind of have an office manager has access to this and is trained on this, but if I don't want my office manager to have access or trained to this, I can define what my office manager position is. you kind of have it preloaded in there what you think it should be, but I can further define it and say, no, I don't really want my office manager to be able to write off account balances or something. I want that to go through me. So it's nice how you can change those parameters and definitions.
Nice. Anything else new that you learned this week?
No, it's still very overwhelming, but it feels like it looks like it's a marathon, and I've taken the first few steps. But versus last week I couldn't even see the finish line. This week I'm beginning to see, okay, there's this is going to be okay. Last week, like I said, it was just, wow, really? And this week it's like, okay, this is gonna take some time, but it's gonna pay off, and we can make this happen. So week 2, still in the trenches, still muddling through it, but it's looking better.
Yeah, and there is light. And I'll tell you this too: I implemented other softwares when I was first in practice in really high volume practices, and I actually used one of them in my own practice. And one thing I realized when we were building this methodology for onboarding clients and the ongoing relationship with clients was that what I learned in the first month was pretty much what I learned and knew for the rest of I always knew there was more I could have learned, but I never got more out of it, because whatever I learned in those first few months and got functional with, that's what I wound up sticking with. And that's why we added the coach into this process, so that Amy will make sure and continue to make sure that you get more and more out of the system. So it's a longer process, because really it's an ongoing process where you continue to learn more how to leverage the system. But the first part is definitely overwhelming. So that's what you're feeling.
Yeah, I don't really think that there'll be an ending to this process. I think I'll always continue to learn and all that. But certainly to learn the basic functions, how to schedule a patient, how to bill an insurance company or a patient, and how to collect money and how that post and all that. That basic stuff, and then once we get to the nuances of the system, and I think, like we said in the beginning, all systems have the ability to take a note, all systems have the ability to do a charge, all systems have the ability for you to run an office. But what I'm really looking forward to getting to do, and I know I have to crawl before I walk, and walk before I run, and run before I do marathons, is that business side of it. So if there's anything frustrating to me, it's this office side of it, this practice side of it. But I can see the business side of it on the other side, and that's where I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. So you're just scratching the surface with the common features of any system. All right. Any concerns, thoughts for a doctor out there that's thinking about software and pros and cons, or anything other than what we just discussed?
No, just in the sake of all honesty, this is all a huge pain in the butt, and I wish I didn't have to do it, and I wish no one ever had to do it. I wish we could not take notes, and everybody just pay us $100 an adjustment on the way out the door and cash in our pocket, and no IRS to just be recording. And you know what I'm saying, but it's a fact of life.
They might hear this. Be very careful.
It's a fact of life. It's a necessity. I should point out today's April 15th tax day, so I'm especially thinking hard about that. But you got to do it. You got to do something. So you might as well do what's the best. So that's this.
All right. Well, thank you for the honesty on that one. And I guess we'll just touch base again next Tuesday, week 3 of your onboarding process. Have you picked the go live day yet?
We talked about that, and it looks like it's about 6 weeks away. So. Okay.
All right. So we'll just keep chipping away each week and giving docs little tidbits of what the experience is like. So, and hopefully it helps them understand the process and make a decision about what they can do or what they have to do. And this way they don't have to worry about making a mistake when choosing what software or billing or methodology they're going to go with. So I really, really, really appreciate you, Doc. You have a great weekend, and we'll touch base next week.
Thanks, sir. Have a great week.
You too. Bye.